Freedom to me is life connected in unity with our Creator, with God. It's only when we are in unity with God and right relationship with Him, then we are free to love and care for the people around us and have right relationships with them. And so it's within that structure that we experience freedom, and that we can then start to heal and find freedom for everyone else around us. My name is Joseph Vegso. I'm 29 years old. I'm from the US. So while Pablo and I were born thousands of miles away from each other, we are brothers. We stand here united amidst war, holding hands, united foundationally in our faith in Christ, but united through music and united through our humanity. And we're going to sing this song to signify that solidarity in which we stand.
Вже вечір вечоріє, повстанське серце б'є, а лента за лентою набої подає, ах, лента за лентою набої подавай, український повстанче, бою не відступай, ах, лента за лентою набої подавай, український повстанче, бою а ворог атакує і приця щосил, юнак кулеметник їх вправно косив, а лента за лентою набой подавай, український повстанче, бою не відступай, ах, лента за лентою набой подавай, український повстанче, як сонце сходило, втомлений юнак, упав він ранений, упав він навзнак, ах, лента за лентою набої подавай, українські повстанці, бою не відступай, ах, лента за лентою набої подавай, українські повстанці, бою до нього санітарка поспішно йде, в обличчя вдивляєсь, його пізнає, ах, лента за лентою набої подавай, український повстанчий, бою не відступай, ах, лента за лентою набої подавай, український повстанчий, бою в обличчя вдивляєсь, пече в грудях рана, біля кулемета дівчина молода, ах, лента за лентою набої подавай, український повстанче, бою не відступай. Слава Україні!
Героям слава!
In the US, I'm an emergency room nurse. And here I operate as a field medic, running medevac transports for soldiers from the front line to the stabilization point. Yeah. So from my father's side, my lineage goes back to Hungary and Czechoslovakia. That's my last name is Vegso, which is Hungarian. And then my mom's side is English and Irish. So both of my grandfathers were in World War II. They both worked on tanks in World War II. They were in battle for both of them. And I know for both of them, they did not talk a lot about the war with their children. I think it was maybe traumatic for them. And so there was not a lot discussed about the military, even though they had served in both of those wars. And so it was interesting me coming here because my family has these military roots, but there was never emphasis for me to join the military, and that's why I never had. And now I find myself in a war zone volunteering to go, which is not ironic, but I don't think my parents expected this sort of trajectory. Yeah, they're both of them were Joseph, which is my name. My father wanted me to be named after his father, and it just so happened that my mother's father was also named Joseph. So that is where my name comes from, being named after both of those men. So yeah, both of them were in World War II. They were in the Pacific in Japan, I believe, and especially my dad's father was in the Pacific, and that's where he had fought. Again, I guess I don't have a ton of battlefield stories, or because they didn't share a lot with their kids. I think they did not want them to have to experience what they experienced. To start with the formation of my identity being rooted in my family that was very strong and very supportive, having two extremely loving parents that instilled in me great foundational values of hard work, emphasis on the family and spending time with each other. Those were probably like two pillars, and they formed a lot of my childhood identity, being able to work hard to accomplish what I needed to accomplish, but then also to make sure I valued the people around me. And so I would say, my parents played a part in both of that, exhibiting what it looks like to provide for a family, seeing both my parents work hard to provide for us, and then also how they then cared for their aging parents, their family members around us. They would stay in our house, they would care for them. And so I saw that and saw what it looks like to really love people sacrificially by opening your house up to them and caring for them, even through sickness and to death. Both of my grandmothers stayed in our house because my parents took care of them. So I saw that, and that formed me a lot as a child. And then in college, I had another significant influence. I met a campus missionary, this guy named Clint Watkins. He helped me and showed me how to read the Bible for the first time. It was the first time I ever read the Bible, and I encountered Christ for the first time. And that transformed my life. Encountering grace all of a sudden started to revolutionize my heart and started to change my trajectory of what I was going to do, with my life. And I started thinking about what does it look like to be able to love people even further, like sacrificially. Like I saw my parents do it with their family members, and then I see in the Bible Christ laying down his life for those around him and for even his enemies. And so that confronted me, and I started to think about and realize that there is a great, I have been loved so greatly by Christ and by my family, by this missionary, Clint Watkins, that I was filled and with this love, and can then have the capacity to then go and love the people around me, whatever it looked like. And so those were, like, if I'm talking about like foundational influences that form my identity, I would say my parents, my family, and then this missionary, Clint Watkins, and then he introduced me essentially to Jesus. And so Jesus, right, transforms my identity and rules it. And so that were like the big pieces of my formation. Another influential part of my formation was in college. I studied abroad in Jordan and studied in the Middle East. And I was studying refugee health there, so Syrian refugees and Palestinian refugees coming into Jordan. And that's really where I got an idea of pursuing medicine, because I saw medicine being provided in this setting outside of the hospital to people in a crisis setting. And I saw that, and I realized like I can have the skill set to go and do the same thing. And so that was really a motivational and inspirational experience for me to then pursue medicine. I went into nursing, and then with the whole idea to be able to have a skill set to go back into a crisis setting. That's where I'm at now, is that I've been able to have the skill set to then come back and step into an area where that skill set of medicine is needed. So that was really impactful. Another impactful moment was, life-changing moment was 2 years ago. My father had died of lung cancer, and going through that loss is so gutting, like wrenching of an experience. It really makes you look at death in the face when you lose someone that close to you. And so it made me press into, what do I believe? What do I believe about Christ? Is Jesus any different than any other religion? Because the reality is, like, we all have to face death, and that's really what we have to choose, I guess, make a decision about, a belief about, and that'll then inform the rest of how we live. And so seeing my father die then made me realize that there is no other hope other than that which is in Christ for death, for that tragedy of death. And so when I come here and I see the death that I see here on the battlefield, I can fully grasp the weight of it and the tragedy of death, and at the same time have hope, because I don't see any other hope, any other way that this could be made right other than through the resurrection of Christ, through the resurrection of the dead, the redemption of this world, the renewal of heaven and earth being combined. And so that gives me hope amidst the darkness that I see here. Like, I know there's light, I know there's hope, and that spring is coming, even though it seems very dark right now. And so, yeah, that experience, seeing my father die, formed me greatly, deepened my faith, and made me answer the question of death, so that now when I come here and I encounter death, I know that there's hope. Yeah. I did not know much about Ukraine prior to the invasion in 2022. It was at that point that I started to try and learn more about this country and this conflict. And I realized just through a little bit of research that there was a clear aggressor in Russia, and that there had been a track record and history of oppression of Ukraine. And so it was very clear that Ukraine and the people of Ukraine were in a position where they needed to be supported, and they needed to be cared for, and they needed help to defend themselves, their country. And so that was why it felt clear to me to be able to come to Ukraine. And as I've been here, I've learned more and more and more about Ukraine. My eyes have only been opened more to the history that's here. I think this is crazy. And I think this is probably characteristic of a lot of Westerners, or at least a lot of people in the US, or maybe just people in my circles. But I did not know that more people died in the Holodomor famine than in the Holocaust. Like, that was not apparent to me. I didn't even know about the Holodomor famine, and so many lives were lost. And so I think that's a picture of kind of what I had known before and what I've learned about now. And seeing that, it's like, man, why doesn't more people know about this? Why do we know about the Holocaust, which needs to be known about, but we don't know about the Holodomor famine? We don't know about Ukraine. Like, this is history that needs to be taught and understood, so that people can continue to support Ukraine and this country here and the freedom. Foundationally, I'm motivated by Christ's love. It is the most powerful thing in this world. The love which is willing to lay down its life for his brother. And so that is what moves me here. And I mentioned that it was very clear that the people of Ukraine were in a very vulnerable position and needed to be loved and cared for and supported and defended. And so that's why I came to Ukraine. When you are experiencing suffering, the only thing that makes that worse is being alone. And so when you have someone that can stand with you in that suffering and hold your hand, link arms with you, you are able to endure that. And so I wanted to come here to Ukraine. Not that I can like offer any miraculous medical skills, like that I can do anything. Like honestly, I come here and like just like clean toilets and peel potatoes, like that's fine. I just want to be here so that the people of Ukraine know that other people are here with them, that they're not suffering alone, that they're not forgotten, that we are here with you, and we value you, we love you, we support you. And so that's why I came. Volunteering with frontline medics. I was made aware about frontline medics through a friend who had been here in Ukraine volunteering. So it was by word of mouth. He told me about this organization. I found them online and I put in an application. The process was a matter of applying and then like two-step interview process. Before that though, it took for me getting my TCCC training and combat medicine training, because I worked in the ER, but I wasn't familiar with pre-hospital care, combat care. And so I took a course, a week-long course studying combat medicine so that I'd be ready to be able to apply those skills here in the field. And there was good crossover between emergency medicine and combat medicine. A lot was the same and made that transition easier. And then along with the studying, I also had to get financially in a position where I could come here. And so I was working, contracted work in the US to pay off my student loans. And once I had finished that, I then had the freedom to come here. And there were a lot of people that supported me, that financially donated and gave money to get me the supplies I needed, like my ballistic helmet, my bulletproof vest, combat medicine supplies. And so those people, there's like a team of like at least 60 people that supported me.
Who are these people?
These are our friends, family, college, fraternity brothers, teammates, even an Airbnb host that hosted my friend and I out in California. They supported me. It was crazy to see like how many people rallied around and agreed with the cause of Ukraine and said, I want to be a part of that. I want to support that. So Joe, let me help send you. And so it was just amazing to see people's generosity and how they came together to get me here. Because it took a lot financially and then like skill-wise to get here. Living here in a volunteer house in one of the frontline cities, I don't think I realized the proximity to the front line and what that would actually sound like and feel like. So like sounds being the explosions, the air alarms. I remember my third day here, there was a bomb that shook the house, and I did not know what that was. that kind of got me a little bit worried initially. And then you start to maybe not get used to, but you start to try and figure out, okay, what's it look like to continue to live here amidst the danger, the inherent danger that comes here. And so it's important to, while you're living here, to not get used to it, to not become callous to it, to be aware of the danger, and at the same time, though, be able to continue to do your job, to not get overwhelmed by the danger. So I think there's two ends of the spectrum you can fall into. Outside of that, trying to live as normally as you can with going to the grocery store, going to cafe, getting good coffee each day is an important staple of the volunteer experience. A painful experience was when we had to pick up 5 soldiers from the brigade we work with who were killed from an explosion during work. And the people working there were known to the medics that we were with. And I, for the first time there, saw the significance and ugliness of war. It wasn't just a numerical value of lives lost, but actual names and faces of people. And that first experience, having to make our first transports to the morgue, was painful, because it was like like confronting reality for the first time. You understand war like conceptually, but then the reality of it is something else. And so that first experience was very painful and eye-opening. Joyous experience. There's been many, actually. I just was talking with my family about how amidst the tragedy and the darkness here, there's also been a lot of unexpected joy and light that I've experienced here. My first medical evacuation, I was able to treat with one of our medics a soldier that had shrapnel wounds from a grenade. They had penetrated both his lung and his liver. However, we were able to get him evacuated quickly. We were get him treated and stabilized in the ambulance and to the stabilization point on time. And he survived. And seeing that was so gratifying, because you then realize the role you play in maintaining or having a man live another day. And so while there was that painful experience and we often have to make transports to the morgue, we also get the gratification and satisfying experience of being able to save soldiers and care for them. And so that first experience, being able to stabilize a soldier, was extremely joyous. Outside the battlefield, one of my favorite days here, honestly probably like one of the coolest days of my life, was when we had Thanksgiving here at the volunteer house. We had just a couple groups of people from different circles that we've encountered volunteering. I don't know, maybe like 15 or so people. But it was incredible to see how different groups of people were able to come together and spend time with each other during a night and feel like family, to enjoy good food, to get a little bit of rest, kind of step away from the war, enjoy each other for a bit, and then playing guitar with you, Pablo, afterwards or at the end of the night was just like a surreal experience, and I really will never forget that day. That Thanksgiving will stay with me for the rest of my life. It really just it felt like a transcendent day, to be honest. It was incredible. I don't feel like I can be apathetic towards the people of Ukraine. I can't just sit in my position of comfort back in the US and keep myself removed. I very much, having been here, feel connected to the people of Ukraine, and I did not have that before. Even though I saw, like, I had a desire to come here, now it's like I'm here with you guys. Like, I'm looking at you, and I feel a integration of my heart with yours. And so that wasn't present before, even though there was a desire to come. And now that there is this integration, I am trying to figure out what it looks like now to move forward, to continue to be invested and committed to the people of Ukraine. Because I think there's great harm done when we just show up for someone and then we leave. And we say, we're here with you in your suffering, but not the whole time. Because the reality of pain and like suffering and war is that it's not just over like that, but it's ongoing and it's long term. And so it takes commitment from each other to say, I'm here with you for the long haul. And so figuring out what does that look like now. I do have to return home to see my family, to financially support myself again. But I am trying to figure out what does it look like to stay committed to be supporting Ukraine and the people here. What would it look like even to come back? And that is new, I guess, has been part of like this experience being here, is having the people of Ukraine take a piece of my heart and my desire to be committed to the people here. As far as what we are experiencing in our specific front of this war, is we've seen more intense fighting as of lately. We've had more medical evacuations than we did when I first got here. But that's just like a small window of what's going on in this war, like a much larger war. So I don't know if I can speak for the whole war itself and like what's going to be happening. I can just share with you what the experience is like on our front. My hope is for the war to end, but also for Ukraine to have justice, for Ukraine to be able to have the land that they deserve, that they deserve, and for them to have the freedom. And so I don't know what that's going to take, what that's going to look like long term. I think this is something much obviously greater than myself or you, Pavlo, like in regards to this war. But my desire is for the war to end, but also for the people of Ukraine to have justice, to have their freedom, and to have their land. What would I like to do?
What's your dreams here?
This is Anastasia's question.
Why?
My like simple dream like is yeah. Is to my simple dream is to have a motorcycle that I can drive around to the different cafes and play my guitar, enjoy the friendships that I've made, and spend good quality time with good people, and that's the dream. I think maybe I can answer it on like two different levels. Ukraine being able to have the land that is theirs, that they have the freedom to be here without fear, without oppression. But then, like, ultimately, like success and like what I want to see is something transcendent. I want to see healing of the hearts here after war, because when there's such conflict and such violence, it shatters people's hearts and their ability to love. We get filled with hatred for different groups of people, for the enemy, like for Russia, right? Like ultimately, what I really long for is for a healing of this conflict and of the people groups here. And now this is like huge, big picture, may even some people say like impossible, but that for there would be actual, like, this isn't just like world peace, but like that there's actual like healing of the hearts and the pain that's been done here between Russia and Ukraine, and that there would actually be unity at some point. I don't know what that exactly looks like, and that's so far down the road. But ultimately, success, I think, it is where we actually have. This sounds crazy, but where Russians and Ukrainians could actually love each other. It sounds crazy. And there is the reality of where we have to stop aggressors and stop violence and bring justice, but at the same but at the same time, we also have to see that there is a greater enemy, one in which wants us to be at odds with each other. And so as long as we're at odds with our brother, then we are never going to be able to reach our full potential as humanity. We have to be able to heal and reconcile in order to be able to move forward and advance. So what that looks like, I don't know. But that is my ultimate hope. There's a reality here, and like in the blindage specifically, where you are living economically. You're like living with thrift, with like not a lot. But the reality is that is like the most like romantic and poetic way to live, not in extravagance. And so I've seen living here, like amidst this house where we make do with what we have, or at the blindage we make with what we need. There's actually been more joy in that. And so that's been really interesting, unexpected to see, is that like, while like living in a hole, actually there can be great joy experienced by making the most of what you have there. And then the second thing is that I don't think I've ever felt more present than since I've been here. I think that's like maybe like due to two parts. Like one, there's the inherent danger that comes with being in a frontline city, and it makes you thankful for each day. Like each day that you wake up that you have is a gift. So it makes me very present. And the people that you're working with, like we all have one mind, like one goal in mind, and that is to do our job really well, to care for the soldiers that we're caring for, and to care for each other. And so we are focused on each other and at the work at hand. All other distractions are kind of pushed to the side, and it makes you very, very present, more so than like any book could teach me, or any like lecture series on how to be present and mindful. It's actually been here volunteering that I feel like I've been able to be more present than I've ever been in any other point in my life. We can't just say we're with Ukraine, or we actually have to come here and hold, like link arms with you. So I would say to the rest of the world is that we can show that we love Ukrainians by actually standing with them in their suffering, not being apathetic, not saying that's your problem, like you guys deal with it, but that we're here. And each person has to figure out what that looks like. For me, having access through medicine, that's one avenue, but there's so many avenues to come here and stand with Ukraine. And so whatever that looks like, it's important.